Should we do? Yeah.
What's up, guys?
We had a musical intro, but we're not going to play it.
Yeah, I guess we're not gonna do that. We've never done one of these before, so we're just gonna kind of have some fun, and we'd love to hear questions as we go. I believe.
Yeah. I actually want to start it with questions. Is there anything that any of you guys like really want to know about, like the marketing side of the business or anything like that?
I will
We got a guy
walk
over
to
here.
you. Yeah.
No, you got nothing.
Oh, he
No?
just wanted to put his hands up. This isn't a show,
wanna
man.
know? All right.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
let's
just
just start it.
Yeah, we'll just dive in. Yeah, so obviously, I've never done this either, so I'm gonna press down and hope it worked. Social media. You can see my my cursor here. It's a little weird. Okay. Yeah. So social media. Do any of you guys have social media? Anybody? Put your hand up if you have social media. Put your fucking hands up. Oh yeah. Okay. So, social media to us is like super important. We're like really big. I don't know if any of you guys follow us, but we have like a weird like Instagram feed that looks like this. All of it's like connected and stuff. It doesn't. It's not the most important thing. Obviously, there's our music and stuff, but we have a new album coming out called Dead the Album, and these are all the colors. And we felt it was really important to have all our pictures and all our stuff kind of, flowing in between. And yeah, and a big thing with our social media is making sure that we like brand the social media with the releases and stuff like that. Are any of you guys doing that, like branding your releases or anything with your social media? This guy knows what's up. This guy knows what's up. Good job.
But is it that important to like combine your releases with your social media?
I mean, you don't have to do it like that. I think the point is like, it's like after your track, like what do? You know what I mean? Like how do you tie like everything all together? And it's just, this is just one example of what we were doing for the new album and what we do for our Instagram. Yeah, so just kind of creating the vibe first of all before you start diving into everything else.
And then like one super important thing is, we don't see a lot of people. I mean, we see a lot of people doing this, but we see a lot of people make the mistake of like, you're just posting like promo pictures or like pictures that you see other people posting and stuff like this. The really important thing on social media is find like what you guys are like good at, whether you're funny or you're good at making tutorials or you're good at, I don't like.
It's just
Vine
lifestyle.
videos.
Yeah, I think especially now people really want to dive into like your lifestyle rather than like, here's another pic of me on stage or here's another like pic of me against a gray background. It's like, here's a video of us, I don't know, playing a video game and I spilled my drink next to me or something stupid, but that just kind of lets people come into your life more so than what you see as just like artist posts a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But do you keep it real or you keep it fake?
No,
Very
no,
real.
That's the thing.
The most
You don't
important
try to do that. That's the thing is like trying like when you try to do something on your social media, it kind of comes off like unauthentic or like people don't really get to they can't like feel that when you do something that's like just you, and even if it's weird and even if you're like insecure about it, like that's what's gonna come off. I think the hardest.
All right. Any questions here? Oh yeah.
On that topic. So you said the most important thing is to find what you're good at and express yourself on social media, but does it have to be like expertise? For me, as an example, because I love to dance, that's why I did this in the first person.
No, not at all. If you love to dance, then you should portray that on social media. You know what I mean? Like just so people get to know you.
Even if it sucks.
Especially if it sucks, because people will probably like it more. Honestly.
It's just you. I think, the most important thing is making whatever you're doing just you. And if that's dancing, if it's shitty dancing, whatever, like that's you, and that's what's important. And I think that's what people grasp onto the most within social media. You can look at, examples like Billie Eilish, who's like so weird and like people are like, what is going on? But like it's just who she is and people love it. People like grasp onto, what's just naturally comes to you.
But do you talk with the team about it? Like, what do we want our fans to see from us, or is it like that, like strict for we're gonna choose a topic and we're gonna stay with that topic?
No, I think less of that. Like make it more like really don't think of it. We always say this, and I don't know if it makes sense, but we always refer to like don't think of your brand as like a math problem. Like don't try to make it like a science project. Like if you feel that something is funny or works or is good, you should post it. It doesn't need to be a professional picture. You don't need to have a videographer with you everywhere you go. Some of the biggest videos on our social media are vlogs that I filmed from my selfie camera and edited them together over 3 days. And those, for some reason, did better than we would pay a video team, you know, X amount of thousands of dollars to do this whole after movie and all this stuff. And that stuff reacts well, and you need it too because promoters like it and stuff like that. But for fans and engagement, I think it's better, you know, for people to get to really know you. I'm sure you guys as fans, when you get to like know the artists that you love for real and like see what they do on a daily basis, is probably a lot more enticing, I guess, than like another after movie and, you know, stuff like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys just only love after movies. I'm not sure. I know Hates only loves after movies. So.
I never in the after movie, man. So I don't care.
We got to get you in more after movies, man.
Quick question before we go on. Do you also do a private Instagram account, or do you, besides Brief Carolina, you also do like private stuff? Or
we have our own
personals.
personal ones, yeah. We have personal ones, but they're not anywhere near as cool as that one.
all right, good one. All right.
Yeah, and then I think the other thing while we're on the social media thing is you want to like make sure that your social media is cohesive in a sense. Like the one place it should be kind of like a math problem is like, you know, like, so this is our Instagram and these are like the colors. And then like our Facebook, you want to make sure that, you know, your header is pushing like whatever release you have or whatever thing. And you want to make sure that it's matching your Twitter and it's matching your Instagram. So when people can find you and your brand, they're really identifying with what, you know, you're trying to push, whether that's your release or your dance video or whatever it may be. You want to like, you know, line it all up so it's working. And this is like our Twitter header, just to show you guys an example how it all, if no matter what you go to, we're pushing one sort of, you know, thing. This is Dave eating a bell pepper at the bottom here. It's a little weird, but artwork, which brings us to our next thing. I see a lot of people trying to do the same thing they see other people doing with artwork. You know, you get like the picture and you want, you know, the Spinnin S on there or whatever, which is really cool. But it's really important to find a way to have your artwork be like your artwork. You know, whether it's you hand drawing it or you go get another person to do it for you and you bring it to the label and have them add it into their template or whatever. It's going to set your releases look-wise apart from everybody else, you know. So like we just did our album. So our album is up here on the top left. It's Dead the Album. So we had all the singles, as you can see, kind of matching the colors, like Too Good and Like This July Drive. And then the remix album is pretty much like the reverse of, you know, that. And I mean, I guess it's not like make or break, but it helps your brand just a little bit, and it helps identify kind of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it shows you. It just shows like this is what we're doing right now in this moment, and it's like you kind of grasp as like you're looking through anybody's artwork. Like you want to just try to make sure you don't forget it. That's very obvious that you would want people not to forget your artwork, but you know, it's just creating that thing where he was saying you see it like on the Twitter, you see it on the Instagram, you see it on the Facebook, you see it everywhere, and that seems so obvious, but a lot of people don't do that, and I think it really helps like just bring the whole thing full circle, which in the end is what you want.
How much time, besides you guys are like busy DJs, you're producers, how much time do you make for the branding style? Is it like something you're like, we have to make some time for it? Because you're already busy, and I can imagine that some people will go like, I will do it next week, or...
I think what's so important about branding too, and it's also weird, is like it has to become natural to you. Just like what you want to post is natural. Like before we were, you know, chose this kind of vibe for our album, we had gone through like 9 different ideas, and we were overthinking and overthinking and overthinking, and everything was just so cluttery and it didn't feel good. And then when he literally made this on Photoshop in like 1 second, and
in a meeting about how we couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah,
we were in a meeting with our manager talking about how we cannot come up with artwork. I was like, what if it was just like this? And then he was like, well, what if you just changed it a little bit? And then it ended up being this in the meeting of the talking about how
and
it wasn't
it's
working.
so simple, and it's just so easy, and it's nothing crazy. There's not like dragons flying out, but like something about it is just clean. And it's like even if you think that like it sucks, you're not gonna forget it really. You know what I mean? Like it just has that vibe, and you know what, like you said. So we try not to spend too much time, because then, especially me, I don't know if you guys like this, but I'm a huge like overthinker. I just literally like overthink things into the grave, like on the regular. And so when we try to do that and think like, okay, what's gonna be cool, it never works. We kind of just let it like naturally flow in, and not that we're naturally cool. I don't mean like that, but
We are
just,
naturally.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
We are naturally.
but you know, just sometimes things happen like that. So we really don't spend a lot of time like thinking about it. You know, once we have the vibe, then it's like he'll spend a lot of time doing all the necessary Photoshop work to, you know, putting it into the Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So that takes time, obviously, but thinking about it and the concept should always just kind of be natural and easy.
All right. I got a question here for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, do you guys really think like it's important to post something consistently? Because you see like a lot of people on Instagram talking about you gotta post something a minimal of 5 times a day to keep things interesting, and you gotta post at least 3 videos a week to keep things interesting. Do you really think it matters, or do you just post when you feel like it, or just when you release something, just when you're having fun? How does it work for you guys?
Well, I think there's two ways to look at that. It's like one way, it's like with all these like algorithms for Instagram and everything else, like when you don't post, the people that follow you don't see it as often. So it's like you want to post more so people can see it more, obviously. But at the same time, if you're not that kind of guy that like loves posting on social media 8 times a day, you also shouldn't do it, because if you are just hating it and you're like annoyed that you have to do this all the time, it's just gonna make you not want to do it. So you kind of have to find that weird balance of like, I need to keep posting so that like my algorithms don't get messed up. And he knows much more about algorithms and shit than I do, but obviously you want to make sure people are seeing your post, but you don't want to burn yourself out, you know?
Yeah, it's like he said, there's 2 sides, because he'll show me rappers sometimes that post once every year and the posts get 8 million likes. You know what I mean? So if you can do that, do it. But if you're a new artist, especially, just so you can find what works. I think the biggest thing is posting a lot so you can find what works for you. Once you find what works for you, stick to that. If that's posting, your fans know that you're doing post Saturdays or whatever it is, and it's once a week you make a post and that's your thing, and that works, do it. But it's all about finding what works for you. So I think at the beginning, for sure, post as much as you can. Try different things. Don't be afraid of something not reacting or not getting the comments that you want, or whatever. You have to try new stuff. We try something new every time we think about it. Like, oh, what if we, instead of having an after movie on a Red camera, we got a camcorder for $30 and shot it on that? Maybe it'll look cooler. We'll try it, and if it works, we'll do another one until it doesn't really work. And if it doesn't work, we're like, all right, it didn't really work, let's tweak it or move on. So post, yeah, exactly, like whatever feels right to you. But if you're a newer artist, post as much as you can to find what works for you, and then stick to that. Moving on. So just to show you guys some examples of like our album. So this is like the track list for our album. We did it in the same colors as the album. This is like our tour flyer. It's super important that like for us, we're doing like an album tour, right? This is phase 1, but it was important to us to brand, the tour around the album. And I think if you're pushing a single, like if you just signed a single to Spinnin and you want to do a tour around it, it's super important to brand the tour that you're doing around the single, because you're, without posting too much, like go buy my song, go stream my song, go this, go that, you're pushing the narrative of your song without having to say it over and over and over again. It's like, I'm on the, whatever your song is called, I Dance. You're the I Dance tour, and people are seeing the name and seeing the artwork over and over again, and it's making them think about going to stream it without you having to be like, buy my song, buy my song, buy my song.
It's like mindless, like cross promotion. You know what I mean? Like, it's just another simple way to give new information while all pushing the same narrative of like, these are tour dates, but the image you're seeing is my new song or my new album, and it just constantly keeps that thought in whoever's looking at your stuff's mind. They're gonna think like, oh, I'm most likely gonna hear this new song or this album on this tour. So it's all just kind of connecting every dot together, and it kind of is the best way to set the tour up for better success. Your streaming can, everything just connected like that.
Yeah, and I think to touch on this point, one of the most important things on social media is you don't want to like ram it down people's throat that you have new music out, because people will just get kind of sick of it, and you'll start losing followers instead of gaining followers. To just be like, my new track, my new track, my new track, my new track. You need to find ways to tell people that you have new stuff coming out or something coming out without necessarily like telling them. You know what I mean? So like with us, we have a podcast once a week where we interview other DJs. Where in that podcast, you know, at the beginning of it, we'll talk about a new song they have, a new song we have, this, that, whatever. We have funny videos of him dancing in China, but I put the song over it. And it's letting people know the information without necessarily just like posting a thing that's like brand new song, this, that, you know, whatever that is, whether you're streaming on Twitch or whatever. Let's see. So, all right, you don't need to hear it, but this is our video that we did just so you guys can see. Again, sticking to like the colors and stuff and just making it weird. I think the biggest thing with this video for us and kind of the whole approach to the album was doing stuff that we just felt like people would want to keep watching and just being weird.
Which is, yeah, just visually odd. Like, my mom called me when she saw this, and she was like, that's just weird. And, like the video is weird. And,
and then he called me, and he's like, we got her. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
I guess the point is just trying to find something that, you know, there's so much music coming out every day. It's like 40,000 songs a week on Spotify or something
we'd
crazy.
Have to ask somebody, but
there's
it's
so
a
many
lot.
visuals. There's so much music. So, you know, and this whole thing, what we're doing is like on our beliefs. We could be totally wrong, but it's worked for us. So like, you know, it's just coming up with something that is just interesting and that like you think is you. Like, we're just weird. You know
And again,
what I mean? Like, we're really
we
weird guys.
And
so
again, we made up this video in like 5 minutes. We didn't overthink it. It was literally like, we know the colors for the album are going to be this, so we're going to shoot this album. And there was a bell pepper there, and he ate the bell pepper, which ended up being weird. He poured blue milk in his eye, which is super weird. I talk on a banana phone for some reason.
it's weird, but you're not going to really forget it. You're going to walk away at least like, yeah, that was a really weird
When
thing.
you leave here, you're going to be like, those guys are super odd.
We're not going to go talk
no,
to
yeah,
those
no,
guys
no one
anymore.
likes those guys. Moving. So then we did this video, which is the same color concept, but it's just a little bit darker and stuff. I mean, I could move past the artwork, but does anybody have any questions as far as artwork?
So what I see a lot of people do when they start, mostly rappers, but I figure producers would too, of course, when they start, or any kind of artist would when they start, is using, for example, WhatsApp to share their release and ask people to share that. Does this work for anyone, and if so, what makes it work and what not? Because if I see people keep spamming me on WhatsApp with that kind of stuff, at a certain moment, I don't even react when they send me something.
You don't open it.
Message anymore.
You nailed it on the head. I actually just got yelled at by our manager for this. So we have a text app where we have like super fans. It's like I think 5,000 people, 3,000, 5,000 people that can be texted from us directly, right? And I was running it, and I was just writing about releases and all this kind of stuff. And our manager called me, and he's like, you have to stop doing that. And I was like, why? It's literally for information. And he's like, yeah, but people are going to just stop looking at they're not even going to open the message because they're going to know it's some spam. So what I started doing now on it is I'm texting things that are more personal, whether that's like, did you catch the Game of Thrones episode last night or whatever? And when people are responding, we're responding to them. We're going on the app, texting back, actually building the relationships. So that way when you're sending a track, because it should still be used for that, it's not just spam. You know what I mean? So if you're going to use something like that, whether it's a mailing list or a private Facebook group or a WhatsApp or a text group, you need to make sure that you're making it engaging and personal, because people are following those things to follow you as a person and get to know you. You know, like they're going to see the song coming out on your Instagram swipe up or whatever. So use those things more to your benefit to like really get to know your fans.
Because you're right. Like once it gets spammy, you're just like, I don't even care what this is. I don't want to open it. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how you naturally look at things like that. Like, unless the song is just the best song in the world and like everyone you know what I mean? Like, that works for that. But a lot of times it doesn't work because it just comes off as spam. So yeah, it's just finding like the little tweaks, like I don't know, some way to like engage in the conversation, you know, that you can get the information across the same without just being like, here's a link to check out my new track, you know?
But again, yeah, you say make it more personal. I think I totally agree with that, because then it's not spam. It's just like friends or, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And even at that point, like, it takes a long time to do that with everyone that's reaching out, but you're
Yeah,
building,
but again,
like,
how do you do that with time-wise? Because you're like, oh, you have a busy schedule.
I mean,
you
people,
have like,
you know, like for us at least, like when you're traveling a lot, like we have a lot of time where we're at the airport just chilling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like we could just be sitting there and it's like, okay, for the next half hour, we could just talk to people and try to engage in a personal level. So that way, like when you do send them another link at some other point, they don't look at it as spammy as if they didn't already have this engaging conversation with you previously.
I'm sure you guys have all seen DJ Mag like stuff. You know, it gets annoying after the first week because it's just like vote for me, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. Love your support. Vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. So it's like this year we found new ways to do it. We have a email list where we send stuff just to fans that are like a random bootleg we did or this and that. So we would send them a bootleg, and then they would write back how much they liked the bootleg. We would write them thank you for liking the bootleg or the remix. Also, by the way, while you're here, we would love your support for DJ Mag. So it's not just like the same video 1,000 times, big festival, love your support, this, that. We also have one of those, but it's a way of, engaging with your fans on a personal level so they feel like they're invested in if you get into DJ Mag or if you, get a big song or whatever. You want them to feel like they got you there and that they're a part of it. Yeah.
I got another question for you guys here.
Yeah, I really, really dig your Instagram style. It looks really amazing. I got a question about like not visually branding, but like musical branding, because I have followed you guys a long time, and I have noticed like a really long time ago you released like progressive like More Than Ever. You have released like really heavy club bangers like Headshot, and now with the song Too Good, like a little more poppy. And like I heard so many different opinions, like you should like get known for one style and stuff like that, or do you guys think like you should just release whatever you want? Because when you now Nicky Romero, for example, release a song, it's going to be like something progressive. Right. But with you guys, when you release a song, I'm like, yeah,
you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. So there's so many different opinions about it. So I was just wondering what you guys think, since you guys are doing it.
Well, it's really important to like make sure you enjoy what you're releasing. And like music is subjective, and always like you're going to get known for one sound or you're going to get known for having a million different sounds. And it's like we just release music that we like. And it's like at the time, like we were releasing tracks like, More Than Ever, Anywhere But Home, those more like progressive style tracks. Like that was what we really loved making at that moment. And naturally as you make like so many songs all the time, like things for us start to change, and then we'll get into like wanting to make a heavy club banger song. And then when we made our stuff for our new album, it was kind of everything we've done into one mix. Like we realized we were pulling like inspirations from progressive sounding stuff, or chord progressions from this like darker, like clubbier type vibe. And so it's just really where your head's at, like where you come off naturally. And some people will continue to make the same music forever, and that's great. Like that's what you love to do. That's what you love to do. But like us, when it comes to music, like we're always changing and always evolving.
But do you also connect the brand then on that new vibe? Because I think
of
the
course,
branding you have right now compared to 5 years ago when we first met, or maybe 6 years ago, you were a little bit more rock and roll, more dark. Logo was like typically rock and roll logo. And now I see a change. Well, I'm not saying soft, but softer, because of the new style of music that you're bringing out right now.
Yeah,
so you connect the branding to the vibe that you want to have.
Yeah, you should. I mean, the thing is that we came up with the songs and then the branding like separate. We like really like it wasn't softer branding because the songs were softer. It's just what we thought would be cool. We felt like the songs were dark, and if we made the branding pop, which is like the colors and stuff, but it was with dark songs, it would be weird. People would talk about it. So the big thing for us with this album was talking points, and it was like, okay, we're gonna make all the album look like it's a pop act, but the songs are gonna be like emotional and dark, and it gives it a weird contrast. And I mean, speaking on the music side, if you find a sound that you get known for, like when Jaws popped off and he had like the really bass housey like wub sound, and it starts like taking off for you, you can stick to that, but eventually you're gonna want to change, right? So like when we made More Than Ever, we made like 6 progressive house songs. We signed him to Spinnin. We were on top of the world, and then eventually we just got over making progressive house. We like had not mastered it, but we'd gotten to the point where it's like we can't make anything new in this thing. Let's learn how to make deep house. Let's learn how to make bass house. And that's how we've been since 2000. He started this project in 2009, and he had rock songs, pop songs, electronic songs, and it's because we're just antsy guys that just get, we listen to all kinds of music. We like making all kinds of music. So no, if you make a good song, it's going to be fine. It doesn't matter if you made progressive house last week. No one cares.
You just stick to what you love. It's like one day you want to wake up and make an R&B song, like do it. You know what I mean? It's like there's no rule. There's no rules in music. There's no rule that's saying, this person has to make this kind of music for the rest of time. Like there's no written laws. You just do whatever you want and whatever feels good.
All right, I got another question over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of already touched on the subject, but no.
Hey, man.
I was like a huge. I was a huge fan, like when you were still making like more like the rock kind of emo stuff. That's where I knew you from, and I was just wondering if like the branding changed just because of that the music changed, because you're now like basically aiming towards like a new audience. Like, do you keep the audience in mind when you create something on social media?
I mean, yes and no. Like you don't want to make yourself seem like something else for somebody else. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, you have to understand like where your audience is at and like where your fan base kind of lies. And with this kind of stuff we were doing, we were trying to bring everybody together. You know what I mean? In a sense of like some older stuff and then like a newer potential audience and bring it all together. But you want to, if you want to make this like your life and you want to be successful at like music, there's all those kind of things you have to kind of think about and like teeter in between those lines of like, okay, like I like this, but also like, do you think other people will like this? You naturally just go there. And so it is a fine line because you want to make yourself happy without thinking if someone else is going to like it, but you have to think about it,
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Sorry, at the end of the day, it's your passion, but it's also, if it's your job, it's your job. So you have to treat it exactly like you said. It's a fine line of like, it has to be marketable-ish, but you also have to like it. You can't just do stuff because it's like, oh, well, Hardwell has a song like this, or this band has a song like this, so I'm going to do it because that's what's selling right now. That's the wrong way to do it and never ends up being great. A lot of people saw it when Future Bass got big, when the Chainsmokers got big. Everybody tried to sound like the Chainsmokers for 2 years, and it was like the worst time in music ever. Like, it was just, not that the songs weren't good, but it's like how many of these songs can come out? So, and then I think everybody realized, like, okay, I need to like do me. So you have to do your thing within the parameters of like being able to sell. Unless you really don't care, then do whatever you want and hope it works. Yeah.
I don't know if you're coming up to that point. How important is merchandise for you guys?
I mean, it's important.
Do you have merchandise?
Yeah, we do have merch. So the thing
for the new album, it would be cool if you have like completely colored shirts and shit.
Yeah, so we do. So with us, merch, it's never been the biggest focus that we have. We do capsule collection stuff where we drop like 100 of something, like a bomber jacket or a jean jacket or this, and we let it sell out, and then we move on because to us it's cooler to do something limited that only a few people can get, and we could probably sell more of the item, but we use merch more in like a limited sense where it was like, hey, we only made 100 of this, you have to get it right now, and if you get it, you're like a diehard fan, and those fans go get it, and if not, then you get the next thing or whatever. And it helps because it makes fans, I guess, feel like kind of like a part of like your squad, like they're wearing like a team color when they wear your band shirt or your project shirt. I mean, yeah.
It's really important, Hates, that like when we're doing like the album, like you said, like, obviously it would make sense to do bright colored shirts with the colors and like the pictures, and that's another thing that we talked about earlier, just another way to tie things into it. Like when you buy a shirt, like you may have it for a couple months, but you may have that shirt for 20 years, and it's just another thing that like will remind you of that time, and that kind of gets weird and like emotional, but it's true. Like merch is something that like you can physically like grab and like have, and ties you to that one point in time in your life where you were listening to this song by Breathe Carolina, and now you have this big bright yellow shirt with their weird picture on the back. You know what I mean? Like, Just another thing
That
to
would be
kind of
cool.
tie it together.
We are selling merch right now in the
Okay.
back if anybody
Yeah,
wants
we're gonna
to.
give the. We have a guy
Our
back
sh-
here,
well,
so
our shirts are $17.95 and they are in the back.
Oh,
right now.
right.
just kidding. We don't have them here. We don't have.
Just one more to touch on the artwork. One thing I see, and we've had a lot of artists tell us that they were worried to bring their own branding to a label. Obviously, like we have the best relationship ever with Spinnin, so it was easy for us to be like, well, we want to hire an artist to do our artwork. A lot of artists feel like they have to just do whatever they're given. Like, oh, I was given this artwork and I don't want to rattle the boat and I don't want to do this. If you want to hire your own artist to make something for you and you want to take it to the label, it doesn't have to be because you're on Revealed. It's like the Revealed guy's got to do it. It's got to have the thing. It's like they obviously have, like Spinnin has the S and it's got to be in these parameters, but all of everything in this border we did ourselves. So you don't be afraid to like do your own thing and then like let the label add, their thing to it just to finish the artwork thing. Building on your strengths. Okay. So this is super important to us and it kind of touches back to like with social media and with anything really. If you find something that you're good at and that people are reacting to, whether that be dancing or whether that be doing production videos or writing songs or whatever, you should really try to build on those things. So like for us, we're good at producing. We're not the greatest producers in the world. That's not what we're known for necessarily, like our sound design and all that stuff. So to us, when they asked us to do like this, let's say, we're like, yeah, we could run you guys through how to make a kick fatter or how to make a synth better or whatever, but it's not what our strongest point is. Our strongest point we felt was like branding and songwriting, so we were like, oh, we'll do a branding thing. So we really stick to like writing songs and making them the best we can before diving in. We really stick to whether it's in our social media, I guess we're funny, so we stick to like being funny or this. So it's finding those little things that you're good at and really like building on them.
It's important not to like spread yourself too thin to try to get to every different angle, and it's like okay to accept the fact that like you're not the best at this or like whatever it is, like building on your strengths, like finding that one thing that you're great at. Like you're gonna be, if you're great at not great dancing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're the best, worst dancer in the world,
I think we're gonna put him on stage later on.
Yeah, I mean that's that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's does anybody have any questions about building on your strengths at all? Anything like that?
It's kind of an obvious
It's
topic,
kind of an
but
obvious topic.
People overlook it though. Like people don't understand like how important these little minor like obvious things are.
Right. Let's see. What's the next thing? Oh yeah, learn it all. So a big thing that we did, we've been now doing this for, both of us have been doing, like 10 years. We've been doing it for like 10 years. And the biggest problem that we had when we got into the music industry and when the music industry changed was that we depended on other people to do things for us. So we were like signed to a label, let's say, and we were like, oh, the label is going to make the videos for us, and the label is going to do the artwork for us and all this stuff. And yes, they will. But the most successful artists, Kashmir was up here earlier and you heard him, he learned how to make he learned Photoshop and learned how to make his own artwork and learn how to do these things. The best thing you can do for yourself as an artist is just don't focus on what other people can do for you. Learn how to do it all. Like learn how to shoot videos if you need to. Learn how to produce your music, obviously. Learn how to make your own artwork. Learn how to run your social media so that whatever your label or your management do, they're just hyping up what you're doing. They're helping you do your job. And if everything is coming from you, whether that be the artwork or anything else, it's going to feel like you made it. It's not going to feel like some guy in a cubicle made it or whatever, It
goes back to just being authentic and being your natural self and trying to tie your whole brand together with your music. It's like, even if it's not great, if it's coming from you, like it just has that authenticity that I think like you have to have as like an artist. And, there's a lot of people that just don't have that. And so their art doesn't come off as like how they want it to because they're just doing something to do it or whatever. So it's like if you love it and if it's yours, like it just comes off authentic and it's important.
Yeah, so we had like a turning point like 3 years ago where we decided like while we have management, we have label and all this stuff, we were really going to go like in-house business-wise, like Dave handles all of our business, like for money and all that stuff and taxes and everything. And then like I'll handle like making all this stuff. And then we go to like our label or we go to our management and they help us facilitate those things. But we learned, he learned financing programs and all this stuff. And I learned Photoshop or Premiere to edit video, because it's really hard when you're starting or even when you're successful to be like, okay, I need to make this, DJ Mag video. So I just took all the clips that we had from other videographers that shot for us, and then I just made it instead of having to call somebody, hire them, wait a week for them to turn around and edit. Like, we already had all these recaps from our tours and stuff, and we just made it ourselves, and it makes it so much easier for you to facilitate your own thing, And then with artwork and stuff too, it's like, you could send your idea to somebody. If you can't do it yourself, it's really hard to get across like what you want, whether it's a dragon eating a rabbit, whatever. It's easier if you can just make it on Photoshop or draw it at least a little bit to get your point across. And oh yeah, so streaming and selling. By the way, did I do okay on this stuff? Does it look okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
See, we even kept our class on brand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised we're not wearing.
You can hire us to make stuff like this for you if you want. So obviously the biggest thing that I don't know if any of you make music or whatever it is that you want to do. The biggest thing when you're in the music industry is to stream or sell your music, and all these things that we're talking about right now is to push your streaming or your selling. One thing that we did really early on is we invested in our Spotify, like time, not money-wise, but now our algorithm on Spotify does really well because we invested the time. And I see a lot of guys not really utilizing all the things, guys or girls, utilizing the things that they should be doing, whether that be a pre-save campaign or whether that be building your own playlist so you can trade with other artists for their playlists. And a lot of people don't think that that's worth doing when you're smaller, but it is worth doing, and it's worth trading with other artists and building your algorithm, to help push your streams or your sales, and doing all these things to help, propel your song.
Well, you just don't think that like Spotify would have an algorithm. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that's like the same thing as Instagram. It's like you have to do these like weird little things, like making your own playlist, even if you have 300 people that follow it, you say, or 50 people that follow it, like, that's still people engaging in your Spotify that are like real people, not just like a song that got stuck on a playlist that someone just listened to and forgot about. It's like building those like real numbers, no matter how small they are, from the ground up, that help with your Spotify.
Exactly. Any questions about streaming or yeah?
This is really personal question because my country banned Spotify. They don't allow it. So can YouTube be an alternative method as well to do that streaming kind of stuff?
Yeah. Does your country have their own version of Spotify or anything like anywhere to listen to music?
There are too many.
Too many? What's like the biggest one?
It calls Melon. Yeah. We have
Yeah.
one, yeah.
So it's the same rules apply. Just apply it, to that. And then I don't know if you can use like a VPN or whatever. I don't want to tell you to do anything illegal. But illegally get your music to Spotify somehow. I don't know how, but yeah. We're gonna get banned now from somewhere. Yeah, it's the same. I'm sure the same things apply. I'm sure they have playlists, and I'm sure that they have stuff to help you push your music. But yeah, the most important thing for us that we've seen, we've had songs on the biggest playlist. We've had songs, do 50 million streams, whatever. The most important thing to us, and the thing that we're seeing the most fans from, is songs and things that people are saving. Like, we have songs that maybe don't have 50 million streams, but we're getting stopped being told that those are people's favorite songs because they weren't just a song on Mint or on, New Music Friday, where like people are listening to it and they like it, but they kind of like skip past it, whatever. They don't really like get to know the artist. It's getting people to follow your Spotify profile, getting people to download your song. That's a success.
You guys are like international, well known. How do you cope with all the different cultures and different time zones? And is that also important for your feed and your branding and your posting?
Yeah, time for Instagram, just because of the algorithm, time is extremely important for social media. We found that our best time is, let's say, 8 a.m., right? So I have an alarm at 8 a.m. every morning. I should be waking up before 8 a.m. anyway, but 8 a.m. to wake up and post, because that's the time that for some reason all of our fan bases are like either just waking up or about to go to sleep, and they're like right in that time. So I would say, like I said earlier, try different things. Try posting at midnight. Try posting at 7. Try posting it and see what works for you. And if a time works for you, go with that, because it really is hard to find, especially with the way that Instagram is now, a time where everyone's going to see your post. So, yeah, it's just, find what works.
It is hard, though, because it's like we're in China. It's like, okay, it's 2 a.m., but then it's like 9 a.m. at home. Like, I don't know. Like, it's, you know, it's confusing.
Yeah, I have to set alarms. A lot of alarms.
Yeah, you just, I don't know, you figure it out, I guess.
So my question is, what do you think is more important, like pushing yourself in your career in your home country or trying to be international?
I don't know. It's one of
Good
those things
question.
where
I mean, if you're, listen, somebody like A-Lock, okay, where we live in America, maybe not the biggest DJ in America, right? But like literally the most massive person in the world in his home country, right? So if you can do that, okay, like you have to start locally at some point, right? Like you're going to play gigs in your local place, whatever. And I don't know, there's not really like a rule to, I don't know.
I think no matter what, you're going to naturally have like a local fan base when you start. It's like, you know what I mean? If you played a show, I'm sure like your brother would come, say, or like your friends, like you're going to slowly build your home.
You also might be the biggest DJ in your hometown. We don't know. We don't
know. But yeah, I mean, I guess when we first started, we didn't really focus on any sort of market. We kind of just put the songs out there and like started replying to people, and we just kind of see. I guess, you know, you don't want to like pinpoint yourself to like, I only want to be known in my hometown, but you also don't want to come off the gate like, I'm just an international guy. You know, you don't want to like.
That same friend that had fake followers told us he was like an international superstar, but like nobody would show up to his show. It was weird.
Yeah, it was a weird.
Don't be that
So
guy.
yeah, I don't know, man. Just focus on putting out. It sounds so lame and like obvious, but it's just true. Just focus on putting out like the best music, best content that you can.
And you guys are all super lucky. Like you're younger than we are. When we came out, the internet and marketing yourself on the internet was like just starting. When Dave started Breathe Carolina, it was on MySpace, and we got big on MySpace randomly, right? You guys have so many outlets now that like just focus on being big. Like first off, making the best music, and then getting that music heard through the internet, because you're on the internet, you can connect with people.
But it's also more difficult now because everybody's on social media. And in
True.
the beginning, it was like a niche market, you know, like there was only MySpace.
Yeah.
And when you were on the early adapters, you know, it was more easier now. Well, now it's more difficult with everybody on the internet.
It is.
So how do you stand out, you think?
By doing stuff, by finding your niche of things that, you know, you're good at, and then things that other people aren't really doing. You know, like whatever that may be. Like I don't know. Like obviously we don't know you guys personally. But whatever you're doing that might be true to you and what people might like about you, like just do it. And you know, like
That's the thing, is it's so saturated right now with everybody wanting to be a artist of some sort, that's like there's a million people trying to be an artist, but there's not a million people that are you. You know, again, like as lame as that sounds, like that's just the truth. Like when you're true to yourself, like there's only one person that's you. So your content is going to be unique because it's just you. You know, you're not just like that other guy or this guy or that guy. And so I don't know. That's just the most important thing.
That's the whole part of, I think, this seminar as well. I think the red line is be yourself and be unique in your own way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Any more questions, guys?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, dude?
What's the best thing, in your opinion, you've done on your socials? Or what's the best campaign with the best results? You've done a lot of good, interesting and funny stuff, but what had the best results?
The best results for us literally have been videos from our phone that were like just instantaneous things, whether that be Dave taking a shot of salt in China. Like for some reason that got 100,000 views and like a billion comments, right? But then like we spent a year making this like after, and like that's okay. But really the best things for us, and again, like this is our opinion, what's worked for us, has been things like that, like a random, him literally just doing something funny at a table, or me doing a selfie video with a dog. Like for us, the things that have done the best have been like straight from our phone to Instagram, like no thought, no editing, no
It's
anything.
funny how that's a good question, because it's funny how you can spend like all this time and like effort and like hiring all these guys to make like an insane show recap from you, and it's like your proudest moment. You just played your first like huge festival, and it's all this stuff, and it just doesn't really do well. But then you post a picture of yourself like eating a bag of chips and like falling on the ground, and it's just like huge, and everyone loves it. And it's just like, wow, you know, like that's weird. But you know, what's worked for us is he's right, is like the weird little videos.
Again, personal.
Yeah,
it is personal.
exactly.
Yeah, it's and that is personal to us, because then you have an artist like the Chainsmokers, who their whole social media thing has been making these crazy movie after movies. You know what I mean? So that's what works for them, and they've set a vibe with that, and that's their thing. So yeah, I mean, like to touch on what works for us is that's what it is. But for you, I don't know. Like, what might work best for you is doing wheelies across America on a motorcycle. I literally don't know. But yeah, just find whatever reacts the best and then, fly with that. But also don't get stuck in it and like only do that.
But see, it also comes back to like how you are, because the funniest videos that we've posted that have gotten the best content is like how we truly are in our personal life, and people can just feel that connection. So it always comes back to like you posting like shit that's like just true to you and who you are.
So just considering that you guys tour a lot and everything, and just wondering, do you still mix and master your own tracks, and or do you get help with that at some point?
It really depends for us, right? Like some stuff that we'll do, if it's sounding really good already, like whatever, we'll finish it, and we have finished stuff. And if it's a remix, we'll like finish it or whatever. But for the majority, we get a lot of help on the mix and master stuff. A, because that's not what we're strongest at, is mixing and mastering. It's just not our best thing. And B, it takes us, a lot longer than it would take somebody else to do.
If we get stuck like on a mix, like we'll get it to like a great point. And sometimes, if you're any producers out there, when you're making a track, you have these songs sometimes that like you're done. They don't even like need to be mixed. Like for some reason, it just sounds great. So it's like if we're stuck on a mix or something, then like we'll just send it out, because at that point, there's just someone better than us, and we are focusing our time on our strengths, like we were talked about earlier, as would be writing vocals or writing melodies or just production of the track rather than the mix and master. So just
and
depends.
we're also on planes 200 days a year, and mixing on headphones in a plane sucks.
It's risky.
Yeah, it's not the best.
All right, guys. Do we have more questions? Yes, in the back.
In the back.
In the back. I want to take it in the... No.
Hates.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
I wanted to ask you guys, with the operation of this new social media, like for example TikTok, or the way that music is seen in Instagram, for example, in like 10 stories of 10 seconds, 50 seconds. How do you guys implement that with your music? Do you guys really focus when you guys producing to that 10 seconds part, or do you implement any type of challenge just for TikTok to push the song?
When we're making a song, we don't think about how it's going to react on social media, really. We're not those guys. We've never been the guys that are like, oh, we're going to make something to go viral. However, those things are important, obviously. But, if you have a drop or a chorus, those are the best things to use in an Instagram story. They're just the most exciting. We don't produce for that reason, but I think most songs have, a drop or a chorus or something to implement in those 15 seconds.
Yeah, I think people want, it's like you have 15 seconds to show your best part of your track. Like, what are you gonna pick? You know what I mean? And you can't really be writing your song thinking about, okay, we need to get a fire 15 seconds in there for like this video. You know what I mean? Just because at that point the rest of your track is gonna be revolving on this 15 seconds, and that's just not great. But when your song's done, it's like, all right, this 15, even if it's like a bridge or something, like this is the coolest part of the song, whatever, like let's go for it.
Good question. More questions.
I love questions. No questions.
No questions.
Moving on. What else do I have? Oh, yeah, new tools.
Speaking of TikTok.
Yeah, speaking of TikTok. So one thing that we've always prided ourselves on, whether it's him or me, is looking for new tools to use, whether it's like the WhatsApp thing that you talked about. We're always trying to find the new stuff to be ahead of the curve, right? So like we have a text platform where we text our fans about new stuff and stay engaged with them. We have a Facebook private group that's only open to fans. We are on TikTok, before TikTok was blowing up, whatever.
We just started and we suck at TikTok. We're just going to put that out there.
Snapchat, Instagram, it's having all the things and using all the tools to help you propel forward, whatever that may be. It's really keeping your ear to the ground and trying everything, right? So like if you heard there's a new app that lets you replace your face with, I don't know, Donald Trump, and it puts a song behind it. You're like, okay, get that app and use it and just see if it's going to pick up steam or whatever. Like, try to use every single tool at your disposal, because you guys are like super lucky to be growing up in this time that there are so many tools that you can implement. Just use everything. Yeah, that's really it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there any like producers in here? Is there? All right, crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Do any of you care about branding? No, this guy. We got another question right here.
All right.
This guy. Did you have a question, or were you just raising your hand? Okay. He put it down as soon as I pointed at him.
Yeah, I was just.
So yeah, it's kind of not out of topic, but yeah. So my question is like, And on the beginning, like when you start making music, you're obviously like not the best producer, and like as time goes on, you get better and better, and like there's a point that you get satisfied with your music and you think that you could satisfy people and people start reacting. What would be like the initial thought that you would do to like get to the releases and streaming and sailing point? Because it's like we can talk about streaming, but if you do not have a label to release on the track, there's like no point in doing that, you know?
Well, you can't say that there's no point, because there's been a lot of artists that have started from just ground zero that put their track out and it can just catch steam. You know what I mean? So like never feel that like you shouldn't put it out is what I'm trying to say is like.
So one example we heard the other day, just like we'll answer the question straight, but one example we heard the other day is this artist called Apso Facto. I don't know if any of you guys know him, but he makes like weird indie electronic music. He put a song out 4 years ago, and it did nothing. Like got no streams, it literally like failed. He got dropped from his label, all this stuff. All of a sudden, somebody used it on TikTok, and it went viral, and now the song has like 100 million streams. It's a 4-year-old song, but it just randomly caught fire, right? So there is not that there's no point. You never know who's going to find it, right? But I see what you're saying. You want to get it. How do you get it to a wider audience? If you're not signed and you can't get the song signed or you can't get it on the big playlist, a big thing is to DM the guys who run like the mid-level playlists. You know what I mean? Like try to get it in those guys' ears, the guys that run the workout playlists, or a DJ has his own playlist, or whatever you can, to just get it, you know, a little bit into the rotation, and then hopefully the algorithm picks it up a little bit. Kramer sees it. He puts it in, you know, New Music Friday, dance music, or, you know, Mint or Dance Rising or whatever he can. Obviously, those things help, but you have to take the first steps to getting there, right? You're not just going to be there out of nowhere unless you're, you know, a brand new artist to get your first track signed, and that's awesome too. It is possible, but
It's hard because it's like it's almost discouraging, right? Like when you think like, okay, I'm just going to put out a song and I don't know a label, I don't know a artist to help me, I don't have a manager, I don't have all these things. But, like, everyone starts from somewhere, you know what I mean? Like, that's just your first step. And I think that's exciting for anybody else that's, like, has that same, like, worry or thought. Like, it's pretty exciting to think that you're on the brink of your whole life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get too weird with that. But, like, so it's like you just, the sky's the limit. Anywhere it can go. Like, you DMing DJs or you commenting on, you know, whoever's Instagram, like, listen to my track, like, or whatever, sending your tracks out everywhere. Like, someone's going to hear it. Someone's going to like it, and you're going to start stepping. And everything is a stepping stone. Like, you can't take every victory overboard, but you also have to account for those little wins. You know, say you sent some artist a track, and he just wrote back, said, yo, dude, sounds cool. Doesn't sound like it's a huge win, but at the same time, like, that's one person that heard it. You never know what's going to happen after that. You know what I mean?
yeah, I just like to put it in our perspective. We wrote Spinnin for a year and couldn't get a track signed to Spinnin, so we signed a track to Armada Zook, which is like a sub-label of Armada. It was, with this when Beatport mattered, it was number 3 on Beatport, and then Jorn wrote us and was like, yo, I saw your song is like number 3 on Beatport. First off, he thought we bought the track ourselves and cheated to get there. He's like, I've never heard of you. How did that happen? We're like, I don't know. The song worked and we have fans. It just worked. And it helped build our story. Then we signed to Spinnin. And, you know, we have a great relationship now. But you have to do things to build your story, because even when you do get a track signed or whatever, when the A&R meets you, they're going to be like, what have you been doing for the last 4 years? And you want to be like, well, I'm in this guy's grocery shopping playlist, and I'm in this guy's thing, and I remixed this thing, and my bootleg got played by Timmy Trumpet at this stage, and blah, blah, blah. Everything, the more you can build your story, the better, no matter what it is. You know what I mean?
Great. We almost got to wrap it up because we're almost out of time. I got one final question here, and the last question will be from me.
Cool.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Yo,
What up, man?
Like,
Adidas bag. What up?
yeah, boy. I'm from South Africa. Just want to say hi from
Damn,
there.
sick.
Hey.
I want to know if you guys produce content. You guys produce it specifically for each platform. Like, I do this video for Snapchat. We're doing this video for Instagram. Or do you produce like a video and then chop it up towards like what platform?
I mean, it depends on how good the video is. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that, you know, when we're like out, say like, you know, somewhere, if we're in Europe or Asia or whatever, like we'll go out for the day and we'll just like take 1,000,000 pictures and we'll do like little videos here and there and just kind of put them where they need to go, I guess.
Yeah, we also, because like this goes back to the doing and seeing what works on what platform. Different things for us work on different platforms, right? Like randomly out of nowhere, I wrote this like heartfelt thing on our Facebook about our new album, and it referred to like 2012 emo, and it like smashed on Facebook. So now every now and then I'll like do one of those, and it like does really well on Facebook, but it would tank on Instagram. Didn't do good on Instagram. So some things work on Instagram that don't work on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but usually it's like if we have a recap video or we have a video that works on one of the platforms, it'll work for all the platforms. Obviously for our Instagram, we have that weird grid, so everything is edited for that, but it's the same content.